GameSir has sent me 5 controllers recently. The Tarantula was the one I was really excited for, and the one over shoulder that we're reviewing today really doesn't make sense. I think it's supposed to be a spiritual successor to the GameSir G7, but if that's the case, they've stripped 3 key critical features in replacement for one that if you don't really get stick drift ever, who gives a shit? This controller simply did not need to be made. I think it adds to an already confusing and oversaturated controller lineup of sub $60 controllers for Xbox and Switch. In fact, I'm about to do a buyer's guide part 2 just because there are so many controllers from GameSir that overlap each other when it comes to price, features, and platform. But this one, nobody needs to buy it. Nobody should buy it because we've simply regressed. We've reverted. We've gone backwards with features. There's one new feature. Really, we're just banking off the hype of Hall Effect here and stripping features that matter. So without further ado, let's review the stupidest, silliest, most pointless GameSir gamepad yet. A quick disclaimer for my audience, the Stallions and Stallionettes. This controller, as well as a slew of others, were sent by GameSir for an honest, comprehensive review. However, I haven't been paid to say or not say anything about them. They do not get an early preview, and the thoughts in this video and all the other reviews are 100% my own. So if there's any cons, shortcomings, or areas of improvement, you're going to hear about it. So these companies make better products over time, or don't make products like this that don't need to exist. Instead of my typical review fashion where I bounce around category by category, part by part, component by component, what you're used to here at Gamer Heaven, face buttons, D-pad, this, that, this controller doesn't deserve a review like that. What I am going to do is explain why it doesn't make sense and why it shouldn't exist. This perma-wired one platform, that being Xbox, is more expensive than the wireless offerings from GameSir, such as the Cyclone and Nova, which have features that this controller does not, such as rear buttons and RGB lighting and clicky buttons. And on top of all that, you can use a converter or adapter where you can use that controller on platforms that it ought not to be used for, like PlayStation and Xbox. So you get yourself a little $28 controller in the case of the Nova, or we'll say $40 in the Cyclone, and then an extra 38 to 45 bucks on Amazon for that converter for your console, and you're good to go. But you're not good to go with the T7 over here because it's wired or tethered constantly. And in 2024, there's absolutely no reason for wired only controllers to exist, considering wireless controllers can go wired in a moment's instance by using a USB-C cable, taking the benefit of going tethered or wired. And the speed difference with 2.4 gigahertz dongles and even Bluetooth technology like 5.1 in the DualSense is not that far off from the input lag or delay, peak speeds, and consistency as going wired. It's not that big of a deal if you're sitting at a PC because you're right there at your tower, but if you're playing on console, which this is meant for, an Xbox, you're probably sitting on your couch in the living room or in bed in your bedroom, and you don't want to be tangled up with a wire, especially if you've got pets or kids. On top of that, there's no mechanical buttons, just squishy membrane joints. Same thing with the D-pad. I do think that the cosmetics look like a reject from a construction site with all that extra orange, and flipping it around backside, you're going to notice that there is no rear buttons. But what there is Hall Effect 3D joysticks. Whoopity-doo, Basil, what does it all mean?
Whoop-de-doo! What does it all mean, Basil?
It means that GameSir is really banking on the marketing gimmick that Hall Effect sticks are. Now, I'm still gonna do that huge video, Hall Effect, TMR, potentiometer, thumbstick technology, disassembling the modules, interviewing the leaders from each of these technologies. We're talking about Ghoulie Kit, GameSir, FlyDigi, because I do have a direct POC, not just the janitor there, but people that actually work on the controllers. And then I'm going to give you my feedback as somebody that has tested hundreds of gamepads, has been playing on controllers for, oh shit, I'm old as hell, probably like 30 years on controller. By golly jeepers, let me just unlock this noggin and share some of my thoughts when it comes to Hall Effect. It is an absolute marketing gimmick from somebody that barely gets stick drift. I know it exists. I have a stick drift guide that has hundreds of thousands of views. I've repaired gamepads for friends and family members that bust them sticks to shit.
This gentleman is a little rough with his controllers. They're so dirty. Look inside the trigger there.
For those several people that have always said in the comment section, yeah, dude, I've never gotten stick drift, or I've gotten it when I was a kid way back in the day from throwing a controller or something. I'm not going to rant and rave about Hall Effect technology and how most of the modules on the market are pure shitters and quitters, not competition splitters like typical potentiometer sticks, which, yeah, are susceptible to getting stick drift, but a lot of times you never get stick drift with those. For example, I have a 2019 Elite Series 2 with hundreds of hours on those modules. I've beaten dozens of games with it. Not a hint of stick drift with her. Not in GPT, not in gameplay. And I bumped my dead zones down as well. And then I've heard people say things like, oh, you have so many controllers, it's probably that you don't play with one or two of them. No, that's not true. I have about 5 or 6 go-to gamepads for each platform, PlayStation, Switch, and Xbox, that I use frequently. A lot of these ones over shoulder here are discontinued, so I just don't play with them, or they're old, they're for older retro consoles. So yeah, stick drift is a goddamned myth.
So the entire reason that this controller exists is because there's a little bit of fear built up in gamer hearts.
The T7 exists for you, but it has 0 features and you'd be a whole hell of a lot better searching the model lineup of GameSir, although it's a little confusing, so you might want to visit my buyer's guide from about a year ago, although that's pretty outdated now too, so you might want to subscribe and wait for the new one, which will come out in about a month after I review the rest of the controllers. But to summarize, the controllers that GameSir has been pumping out here recently have been pretty disappointing in my opinion. The Tarantula, which is the top dog, the actual unique controller with special features, a different shell design, is pretty much designed for claw grip players and has a software suite that sucks meat. The T7 is a stupid controller that never should have existed, and a couple of the other ones in the closet do make sense, and I'm glad to be reviewing those. For now, you are absolutely fine just holding on to your 5-year-old wired G7 or your T4 Khaled. To be quite 110% honest, not a lot has changed feature-wise in the last 4 years from GameSir, other than them implementing a ton of different Hall effect modules and putting out as many sub $60 wireless Switch and Xbox. Well, this isn't wireless, this shouldn't even be here. You get my point. Budget controllers, as many of them as we can pump out. Some of them don't even have features that its brothers and sisters do, so why pick it from the litter? Drop in the comment section below why this is the best controller review channel. Drop a like on the video if I put an extra 2 inches on your peen, and I will see you Stallions and Stallionettes tomorrow. Peace. If you enjoyed the video, liking it helps it to get seen by more gamers, so this information will reach and assist them as well. Much like the back of the TV, I've got plugs for all of my socials down there in the description below. And your wallet will greatly thank you if you check the description, because there are exclusive discounts on a ton of products, including controllers, KontrolFreeks, keyboards, mouse pads, clothes, and energy drinks. And keep in mind that you, the viewer, keep this channel running. The more Stallions and Stallionettes trotting around the stable, the better, so mollywop that subscribe button like it owes you money, and we'll have the same amount of fun tomorrow.